What's up, smarty people? It's KeysDAN with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Smarter? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you could have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. Also, if you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast. It's called What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. Now, on with the show. Today on the program, 12 golden facts about getting older. Hey, are you getting older? We all are. It's a fact of life. If you're lucky, you get to grow old. It's a fact of life. People grow old while modern society tends to obsess about the negatives of aging. Studies suggest that we often experience more happiness and contentment in our later years. These 12 facts investigate the phenomenon of growing old, debunk some persistent myths about aging, and explore the brighter side of those golden years. Number 1, say goodbye to migraines. Shh. As our bodies age, they naturally become more susceptible to a variety of illnesses and maladies, but migraines are the rare exception. Migraines often first develop in adolescence. While both sexes are affected, women are 3 times more likely to develop migraines compared to men, often due to a fluctuation of estrogen levels. However, the frequency of migraines eventually peaks at the age of 40 and actually gets better as we enter our golden years. Stress and hormones are the most common triggers for migraines, and these 2 factors usually affect older people with less severity. That said, pain, smoking, and alcohol can still contribute to migraines in seniors. And although migraines are generally subside with age, they're still the second most common headache disorder in older people after tension headaches. 1 in 10 older adults still experience them about once a year. Number 2, hair doesn't actually turn gray. One of the hallmarks of aging is that our lifelong hair color begins to turn gray, or in some cases, white. Although the entire industry is built around hiding this fact, human hair isn't actually turning gray so much as it no longer is supplying the pigments necessary to produce color. This occurs when hydrogen peroxide builds up after wear and tear on the hair follicles. That blocks the normal synthesis of melanin, which is responsible for all shades of hair color. Number 3, older adults are happier than people in their 20s on average. As people age, we also gain a certain calm. A study published in the 2016 Journal of Clinical Psychiatry analyzed a random sample of 1,546 people ages 21 to 100 in San Diego. Although younger people in the survey responded positively in terms of physical health compared to older folks, as anticipated, older adults far outperformed younger generations in terms of mental well-being. Panic disorders are also reported less common among older cohorts compared to younger people, and developing a panic disorder later in life is a rarity. Yes, you have less F's to give. I've heard that. Number 4, older folks also sweat less too. As we age, our skin loses collagen, gets thinner, and presses our sweat glands close to the surface of our skin. This process is a bit of a double-edged sword. On the one hand, because these glands are squeezed, it's harder for sweat to come out our pores, meaning older people sweat less overall. This may be a check mark in the pro column for personal hygiene, but it does come with a few negative side effects. With reduced ability to sweat, older adults can have trouble regulating temperature during strenuous exercise or excessive heat. Sweat also plays an important role in healing, as it helps stimulate wound closure in skin cells. Thankfully, a lifetime of physical fitness helps slow down this process so you can sweat long into your golden years. Number 5, older people vote more than any other age group. Older people may not feel as strong as they did in their youth, but in terms of political power, they're as strong as ever. In 2018, 64% of people 65 and over voted in the U.S. midterm election, the highest turnout of any group. And the 65 to 74-year-old cohort also had its highest turnout in the 2020 election. There are a couple of reasons why the older vote is particularly robust. The biggest may be that older Americans, as well as seniors in other democracies, have government programs and initiatives they rely on, such as Medicare, prescription drug pricing, and Social Security. And because these policies are so directly affect them, elections tend to turn out seniors in higher numbers. There are other factors at play too. Older folks may simply have more time on their hands. Senior citizens also grease the wheels of democracy, as they most likely age group to volunteer as poll workers on election day. Number 6, noses and ears don't keep growing, but they do droop. While a common myth purports that our ears and nose continue to grow as we age, while the rest of us generally shrinks, that's not entirely true. Like most other parts of our body, our ears and nose stop growing once we're in adulthood. But the constant tug of gravity over the decades causes these cartilage-filled features to droop over time. This constant pull actually causes the collagen and elastic fibers in our ears and nose to elongate. And this lengthening, combined with surrounding facial structures losing overall volume, often produces the illusion of growing ears and noses as we age. The elongation is a slow and steady process. Studies have shown that ears can lengthen some 0.22 millimeters in a year. Interestingly, the process is so precise that you can discern a person's age just by measuring their ears. Number 7, old age isn't a modern phenomenon. A common misconception about old age is that it's a relatively modern phenomenon. As our predecessors lived brutish lives cut short by disease and war, while modern medicine has certainly expanded the life expectancy, many people in the past lived as long as people live today. For example, some ancient Roman offices sought by politically ambitious men couldn't even be held until someone was 30. Not exactly a great idea if people didn't live many years beyond that. Scientists have analyzed the pelvic joints, a reliable indicator of age, in skeletons from ancient civilizations, and found that many people lived long lives. One study analyzing skeletons from Cholula, Mexico, between 900 and 1531 CE found that a majority of specimens lived beyond the age of 50. Low life expectancy in ancient times is impacted more by a high infant mortality rate than by people living unusually short lives. Luckily, modern science has helped more humans survive our vulnerable childhood years, and life expectancy averages have risen as a result. Number 8, older people requiring less sleep is a myth. Another myth about getting old is as we age, human needs less and less sleep, somehow magically subsisting on 6 hours or less when we enter our senior years. The truth is that the amount of sleep a person needs is only altered during childhood and adolescence, as our bodies need more energy to do the tough work of growing. Once we're in our 20s, humans require the same amount of sleep per night for the rest of their lives, though the exact amount differs from person to person. In fact, the elderly are more likely to be sleep deprived because they received lower quality sleep caused by sickness, pain, medications, or a trip or two to the bathroom. This can be why napping during the day becomes more common as we grow older. Number 9, Some of our bones never stop growing. The common perception of the human biology is that our bones put on some serious inches in our youth. And by the time we're 20 or so, nature pumps the brakes and our skeleton stays static forever. While that's true of a majority of our bones, some don't quite follow this simplistic blueprint. A 2008 study for Duke University determined that the bones in the skull continue to grow, with the forehead moving forward and cheekbones moving backwards. Unfortunately, this imperceptible bit of facial movement exacerbates wrinkles because as the skull shifts forward, the overlying skin sags. The pelvis also keeps growing throughout your life. Scientists analyzing the pelvic width of 20-year-olds compared to 79-year-olds found a 1-inch difference in width, which adds additional 3 inches to your waistband. This means that our widening in the middle as we age isn't just about slower metabolism. Number 10, pupils get smaller as we age. While our hips get bigger, our pupils get smaller. Look at the size of my pupils. The human pupil is controlled by the circumferential sphincter and iris dilator muscles. As we add on the years, those muscles weaken because of the loss of muscle function. Pupils get smaller as we age and are also less responsive to light. Smaller pupils make it harder to see at night, so people in their 60s need 3 times as much light to read comfortably as people in their 20s. Reading a menu in a dimly lit restaurant? Forget about it. Forget about it. Forget about it. Other eye changes include an increasingly likeliness of presbyopia. There, presbyopia, presbyopia, or farsightedness, which can be resolved by readers, and cataracts, or a clouding of the eye lens. In fact, half of people over the age of 80 will have experienced a cataract of some kind. Number 11. Older people have a stronger immune memory. Although the body experiences some slowing down as we age, growing old isn't all bad news. Researchers from the University of Queensland found that older people had stronger immunities than people in their 20s, as the body keeps a repository of illnesses that can stretch back decades. The extra line of defense begins to drop off in our 70s and 80s. But until then, our bodies generally just get better and better at fighting off disease due to biological experience. Additionally, as we age, we experience fewer migraines, and the severity of allergies declines, and we produce less sweat. Older people also exhibit higher levels of crystallized intelligence, or what some might call wisdom, than any other age group. And finally, number 12. The atoms that make up all of us are already billions of years old. It's true that age is just a number, and in the cosmic view of the universe, human age is pretty insignificant. The atoms that make up the human body are already billions of years old. For example, hydrogen, one of the key components of our bodies, formed in the Big Bang 13.7 billion years ago. Likewise, carbon, the primary component of all known life, formed in the fiery cauldron of stars at least 7 billion years ago. So when someone says we're all made up of star stuff, they're very much telling us the truth. We're all made of various supernovae. And while we grow old on Earth, this is only the latest chapter of a story that stretches back to the beginning of everything. And it's a story that'll continue until the universe ends. That's 12 golden facts about aging. How about that? Did you find something interesting there? Are you getting older? How do you feel about getting older? Are you getting wiser or just deeper in debt? Or both? Drop me some comments. Like, subscribe, share. Let me know what you think. This has been What Makes You Smarter. Also, if you'd like to tell your story or hear the stories of others, I encourage you to check out my other podcast. It's called What Makes You Famous. Find it everywhere using the hashtag What Makes You Famous. That's it for me. It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.